Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I recently dyed my hair black and there's like some highlights of blue in there, but I absolutely love it. I usually dye my hair black, like I try to a lot, but it actually kind of fits the theme of this video because today we're gonna be talking about Pretty Little Liars. I also am wearing black. This was not planned. Well, it was planned for my outfit of the day, but like it wasn't planned for this video. Also, I am congested, but I wanted to do this video anyway because I love talking about Pretty Little Liars. So yeah. So when I first watched Pretty Little Liars, it was after I played the Pretty Little Liars episode game, if anyone remembers the episode, and I was talking about it with my friends and we were just kind of talking about it and they told me that the show is really good and that I should consider watching the show. So being in middle school and having a bunch of free time on my hands, I was like, let me give it a try. And I did, but I only watched like the first 10 episodes before my hyperfixation changed and I kind of just left it alone and then didn't really watch it for a while. But since then, I will have lots of points where I would get the urge to watch it and just binge a season and a half and then just leave it and then come back to it again months or a year or two later. And very recently, I got the urge to watch it again and I started from where I left off, which was beginning of season 4, and now I am almost halfway through season 7. So it's been my longest, I guess, hyperfixation on it. And since I've started doing commentary, I kind of wanted to discuss some things that were just kind of weird in the show. Even though I haven't finished it yet, there's just some things that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. There were also some things that just kind of made me laugh, what is this? This is ridiculous. The show is really good. Don't get me wrong, I think it's an amazing show, but I think part of loving something is being able to discuss its flaws. And that's what we're gonna be talking about today. So as much as I love the ABC Family drama mystery show, today we're going to be discussing everything wrong with Pretty Little Liars. Keep in mind that there are going to be spoilers in this video and there is an entire section basically just talking about who A is. And honestly, we're gonna be talking about that throughout the video a whole bunch, so if you don't want to know who A is, you might want to save this video for later. So let's get started with our first topic. So first of all, we need to talk about the main antagonist of the show, or main antagonists of the show, A. So as I literally just said, A is the biggest antagonist of the show, and the biggest question throughout the entire series is who is A? A has many different identities throughout the show. There's many people that were A at one point, and there was even an A team of sorts, which we'll get into as we go further into the video. But this specific point that I'm talking about now is just the unrealism when it comes to A. There are lots of things that A does that are just not possible, or that really shouldn't be possible. In a video that Jamie French did, a link below, I'm going to go see her show next Wednesday. I'm super excited about it. She mentioned that A was strangely able to do a lot of things, such as put messages in fortune cookies and put bees in Arya's mom's car. And how is that possible? Because I mean, first of all, even if you worked at the Chinese restaurant, how would you make your own messages and just know that that's what that the girls are going to be getting this Chinese food? How do you know for sure that that's their order? Because it's not like you can make the cookies for the order, you know what I mean? They're already going to be made, they're already going to be packaged. How would you do that? I guess you're just gonna make them on your own and somehow intercept the order and change. I don't know. It's just weird. And knowing the characters that ended up being A, they didn't work at the Chinese restaurant. So it was just a whole thing. But also the fact that they were able to just constantly know all the time where the girls were, what was happening, and they knew everything and what they were saying. They knew literally everything. They could see everything, they could hear everything all the time. It just didn't make any sense. But what was strange enough is that there were times in the show where A didn't know what they were saying and couldn't hear them clearly plotting against them. There were a few times where obviously A did know that, but there was a time in specific in season 6 when the girls were yeah, let's trick A into thinking that Hannah killed this person to sort of set a trap for A, and they did all of this crazy stuff and A completely fell for it. Now A was able to kidnap Hannah and whatnot, but still A didn't know that it was a trap. So it's almost like they just kind of make A be able to know all these things just when it is convenient to the plot, but it's weird. How are you able to know all of this information? Even if you do, how do you know all of that? And how do you get videos of them in their bedroom but pick up all of the audio from them? Like, that doesn't make any sense. It's just really weird. And obviously it's a TV show, and that's kind of the thing with all these things. I know it's a TV show, it's a drama show, you gotta make it dramatic, but it's just like kind of laughable to me that some of these things are possible. With the bee situation, how was A able to, number one, get all of those bees, number two, put them in Arya's mom's car without anyone noticing or like putting a stop to it, and three, if someone had to have noticed it, and if they would have said something or called the police, because what the frick are you doing putting a bunch of bees in somebody's car? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Also, is no one gonna talk about how Arya's mom didn't really like say anything about all of those bees in her car? Like, I personally don't recall anything happening to that. I don't remember her asking any questions or saying anything. Like, isn't that kind of weird? Isn't that suspicious? I don't know. So if you don't know this, Cece Drake is a trans female character who is A from season 3 to season 6. Cece Drake's backstory is pretty interesting, and honestly, like, I felt like it was very like well put together. Like, it didn't seem like too rushed or anything, because the point of the episode where we learn Cece Drake's backstory, it's supposed to like tie up all of the loose ends from the previous seasons, and it does a pretty good job of that, and a pretty like realistic, I feel like it's pretty realistic, at least in my mind, but maybe not everyone thinks that. But the story is just kind of like frustrating. So basically, my thoughts on all of this, I just don't think it's good trans representation. Not to get like political or anything, but like, I just feel like it's not good that like this big villain was like the only trans character in the show. Like, especially because you know that some people are going to use Cece's character to justify transphobia and stereotypes and a bunch of stuff, perpetuate all of those things onto a everyday trans woman that does not have any mental health problems. So they're just going to assume that all trans women have these like crazy issues and stuff like that. One thing that is good about it is that like when Cece was telling her story, like the girls didn't say anything transphobic or like homophobic. They were actually like very supportive of the fact that she was trans, and instead actually made comments against her father for being transphobic in the first place, which, okay, slay. But in conclusion, I just don't think a mentally unstable character like this should be representing the trans community in a popular TV show, especially at this time when, yes, it was starting to become more progressive, but we were also still starting to like learn. I just feel like it was kind of a weird time to make this like big bad character transgender. Now, it was kind of good that Cece ended up kind of getting like redemption, where she got better and she apologized and she was starting to, again, get better and recover. But literally as soon as she leaves Radley, she's killed off. So it just really sucks. It really sucks because we didn't really get to see Cece as a good character. We didn't get to like play with her, like getting out of Radley and like coming to terms with herself, and like instead it just like kind of painted her as this crazy person. And I don't know, I just didn't like the way that they represented Cece. Obviously now we have better representation for trans characters. I just feel like, I don't know, I'm a trans woman and I just want my community to be represented. That is all. Next, I want to talk about Mona. As a character, she just drives me nuts. She just drives me crazy. Mona was revealed to be A before season 1 and during season 1 to the end of season 2. And the reason that justified her behavior as A was that she had like mental health problems and she needed psychiatric help. And she ends up getting help and gets better as the show progresses. And she eventually tries to like help the girls discover who A is afterwards and try to help them and regain their trust, of course, to the girls' dismay. But the problem I have with Mona is that she's just so untrustworthy and manipulative. Like, even after she's done being A, the writers of the show just continuously paint her out to still be A or to still be someone of suspicion. Like, it just gets really annoying and old because like every time that anyone asks her questions, like her answers are just always super suspicious, and she's never like 100% honest with the liars, even though she's trying to gain their trust back. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. It's very counterintuitive, and Mona just always always seems like she's trying to get away with something, even if she's literally not. Like, it's always revealed that, you know, I was just trying to help you guys. Okay, well, why didn't you say that, Mona? Why did you make these girls think that you were a bad person this whole time? Like, it just pisses me off. It just pisses me off because she's just all over the place. Like, why do you have to act suspicious for nothing? Like, you're just doing too much, girl. You're just doing too much. Her character arc is interesting, and, you know, that's great and all, but I can't with her. I literally, there are times where I'm just tired of seeing Mona on screen, and she's just too much. So one of the biggest eyebrow raisers in the show would probably be the romantic relationship between Ezra and Arya. When I was a middle schooler watching the show, I was literally obsessed with Ezra. I thought he was like the hottest guy in the series. Like, I loved his character. I loved him. I thought the actor was attractive. Like, I was an Ezra stan, okay? But as I have grown up, Ezra's character just kind of like has made me uncomfortable, and I've just kind of become disgusted with his character. Especially because Ezra had this like moment of being with this whole like book thing where he was writing a book about Allison's supposed murder, and it was this whole storyline that was just really disturbing, and it just kind of made me upset because there were some things that we found out that just made the relationship that kind of seemed a little more innocent at the beginning look like something completely different and just disgusting. Originally, the relationship seems innocent because Ezra and Arya meet at this bar, and Arya lies about her age, so Ezra thinks that Arya is of age and that they're, you know, both adults, and they end up hooking up in the bathroom. And then on the first day of school, Arya realizes that this bathroom hookup is her English teacher. Yeah. So it's very messy, but instead of forgetting about it and moving on, they decide they want to continue their relationship. And although in the beginning it seems kind of that Arya is pushing for this relationship, there are several times throughout the show past then that Ezra is the one to consistently encourage the relationship and kind of like get upset at Arya for wanting to do other things and whatnot. Yes, there are of course times where Ezra encourages Arya in the later seasons to move on from the relationship and, you know, gain back her life and do things on her own. But there are times earlier on where Ezra's just really weird and just kind of like, it just kind of comes off manipulative and just, again, like disgusting. And also the worst part about all of this, and the reason why I get so disgusted about the start of the relationship, is because after we find out about this whole like book thing, Ezra reveals that his relationship with Arya, like whenever he met up with her, was completely on purpose. Now, he said that he wasn't planning on falling in love with her, but the thing is, Ezra knew when he met Arya that she was underage and hooked up with her willingly hooked up with a minor. Great job, Ezra. It's just so gross, and I don't think the writers like fully knew what they were doing when they wrote this story. Like, I don't think they realized what they were going to be like portraying or romanticizing. I think they just wanted to add drama and like tension and like suspense and stuff. But it's just really fucking weird. There's also just a lot of weird dialogue they share, and there's just constant makeout sessions, and it over romanticizes the relationship that a teacher and a student should have. Teacher and a student should have just that, a teacher and student relationship. It should be nothing more, and this show kind of just like romanticizes that idea and could theoretically make girls watching this show want to have a relationship like this with their teacher. It just kind of paints it as this like wonderful thing. And sure, there are several moments where they both address that it's something that really shouldn't be happening, but in turn that just makes it more disgusting because they both know that it's bad and that it's wrong, but they still want to have this relationship. Especially Ezra, like he makes so many comments and jokes about like, yeah, you know, this just isn't right. Like, you know, we're more wrong than we are right. Okay, well then why are you still wanting to be in this relationship? Okay, I don't know. But I just think it's super weird, and like as an adult, I just think that it's wrong. Jenna Marshall. Oh, Jenna. Jenna is one of the most unbearable and just blood-curdling characters in the show. To me personally, I just don't like her. I don't like her. Jenna's whole backstory was that she was blinded by a prank gone wrong pulled by Allison and the liars, but it was mainly Allison's doing. And because of this, when Jenna returns to Rosewood, when Allison's murder investigation is happening, the tea is very hot and the girls are very afraid of what Jenna is going to reveal. But the reason why I think Jenna just sucks as a character is just because she's so mean, sarcastic, sarcastic, and manipulative. Oh, and then of course she basically molests her stepbrother, blackmailing him if he doesn't agree to have sex with her. Jenna, what are you doing? Okay? Oh, and then in the episode that like I just recently watched in season 7, we find out that after that happened, years later, after Toby like had finally started to like forgive her, she did this whole thing where she was like, I can't see your face, like,
can you please, like, I just wish I could see your face and I could remember your face.
And so Toby's like,
here, you can feel my face.
And then she like does his face and then she's like, and tries to get out of it. Jenna, did you not learn your lesson? Like, Jenna is just like disgusting and gross, and I oh my god, I can't. Every time she comes on the screen, I just want to turn the show off. Like, I can't watch it. When Shauna dies in season 5, like, I feel bad for her. I feel bad for her loss. Like, she genuinely seems very hurt by the loss, but it just doesn't take away from the fact that she's a horrible person, and I just can't stand her, and I don't know if her character dies, but if her character dies, I really won't care because her character is just so awful. I don't like her character at all. But the actress is very beautiful and she ate up the role and she seems great. I can't stand the character. Next up is the plot. At times, the central plot is snail pace with the same things like kind of happening or the same patterns happening over and over again and nothing like new happening or anything interesting really happening. But then at other times, there is just a bunch of shit that happens like one after the other or a bunch of side plots that occur and then just like trail off into nothing. For example, in season 4, A drives a car into Emily's living room and it's like this big thing where her and her mom have to like go to a hotel. And in the next episode they're in the hotel and they have like a discussion or whatever, and Emily ends up having to like live with the De Laurentises for a little bit, but like just out of nowhere the side plot just kind of ends and we don't hear about the process of getting the house fixed. Like it's a conflict and then it's not. And the same thing with Emily's injury. Like Emily like messed up her shoulder or something in some event. I can't remember what happens. It's something with this house fire or something, and she ends up hurting her shoulder or her arm or something and she can't swim. And it's like this whole side plot for like a season that's kind of like touched on here and there, but then again, like randomly, it's just like not talked about again and it's forgotten. As if her shoulder is healed now and everything is fine. So it's just weird that they have like these different side plots and these different things that just like happen and then just kind of trail off without really any explanation. There are a couple plot holes too. They're just like, you know, what happened to this character? Why did they suddenly disappear? You know, there's certain things like that happened, and there's also just a lot of characters that they love to kill off like for convenience purposes, which I just think is ridiculous, but I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do. There's just a lot, and one of the things that I kind of like found frustrating was like the time jump in season 6, like after the first half of season 6 when like we learn all of the information and we find out who A is and like Cece ends the game, and like all of a sudden there's just this like big like time jump in the middle of the season, which I understand they separated it into season 6A and season 6B, but like it would have just made more sense at the end of a season. Like I think that they could have just made season 6 shorter, or like I don't know, like it's just kind of weird that they just did that like in the middle of the season rather than just doing it at the end of a season. But literally, who am I? Like, who am I? So the last problem I have with Pretty Little Liars is the whole who is A thing. Now I mentioned like all of the like unrealism with A's activities and stuff, but the thing that bothers me, I guess, kind of even more is the whole like who is A thing that just gets really old and repetitive. Like I said, A changed a couple of times, and throughout the 7 seasons, A is teased to be many different people. In season 1 alone, we thought that it was Allison, Jenna, Toby, Noel Khan, and then Ian. I think there were even some more in there. And as the show goes on, more and more characters are teased to be A. The writers seem to kind of like to play with the fact that the audience doesn't know who A is, so like they make a lot of characters come off as super suspicious for absolutely no reason. Like it's just kind of funny, and honestly kind of just makes us as the audience not really believe or trust anyone outside of the main four. And even in season 5, there's like a whole thing where they make the main four and the audience believe that Allison has been A this whole time, which when I watched it, I was kind of like, no, I don't think that's possible, but like, it's just weird. Like, they're trying to convince us that Allison is A again, which was just super annoying because Allison was an A. So yeah. And then we have in season 3, like the A team with Shauna, and then also on that team, Toby and Mona, which Toby and Mona apparently were trying to help the girls, but for some reason they never revealed that information until like Spencer goes insane and goes into Radley, all because she thinks Toby is A. Whatever. I've given up at this point. Oh, and then of course, as I said before, we have Ezra as A and Cece. And then in season 7, we have all this evil twin stuff, and it's just, why? Why do we have to have evil twins? Spencer does not need an evil twin. We don't need an evil twin. I just feel like, I don't know. Also, we never learned why A started going by A, or at least I haven't learned yet. Maybe I'll find out in the last like few episodes. But like, is someone going to explain this? Like, there's so many characters that are A and are suspected to be A, and like literally every character who has been A, minus who was AD in season 7, like it. None of them had a name that had A in it, like as the first letter. So like, it doesn't. I don't know like what, why, where, how, when, why. I don't know. But there's just so many characters that are A and they're suspected to be A, and the question just gets old, and it just tends to get annoying, especially because there's several points in the show where the girls get so close to finding A, and then like at the last second we end up learning nothing. And obviously we know why the writers do this, because it's obviously to keep us hooked and to make us want to watch the show more. But it just kind of, there's just so many of these fake outs that happen like one after the other, and it just kind of like, it just gets exhausting to watch because you just are tired of not knowing who this person is. My stepmom and I actually talked about it a little bit a few years ago, that she stopped watching the show because she was so tired of not knowing who A was and like all these different A's. Like, she was just really sick of it. And that was almost me. Like, it just gets old. So I know I just got done bashing the show for the past like 30 minutes, but genuinely I love the show. It is a comfort show of mine, and I'm gonna be so sad whenever it's all over. To get the idea for this video, actually, I had a dream like a week ago that I was like with the Pretty Little Liars cast, and I was like bawling my eyes out saying like, I don't want this to be over, and like hugging each of them. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm so sad that Pretty Little Liars is gonna be over once I'm done watching it. Like, there's gonna be no more. And then I was like, oh my god, I need to do a video about it. I just love the show. I will forever cherish the time that I spent watching it, and I basically like grew up like with this show in a way. Like, I've watched it through so many different parts of my life, and it's really nice now to be able to watch it and kind of like have a specific perspective on it now that I'm older and that I'm an adult and I have, you know, adult feelings and adult thoughts with an adult mind. It's just really cool. And as I said before, I think part of loving something is being able to discuss its flaws, identify them, talk about them, and just kind of understand them and accept them for what they are. Like, the show is great. Obviously, any successful show and, you know, great show is going to have flaws and problems with it. It's amazing. No show is going to be flawless. It's still a wonderful show. But anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you haven't watched Pretty Little Liars yet, I hope this inspired you to do so. It's a really good show. It's a great community. You'll get sucked in. It's very easy to get sucked into all of the Rosewood drama. Thank you so much for everything. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, night, whenever you're watching this. I hope you have a great time. And please let me know if there are any other topics that you want me to discuss in the description below. Hopefully next video I won't be congested. Thank you again. I love you. Bye-bye.